Hey everyone, it's Pastor Ryan here. Again, just sharing a little devotional with you. I try to do it every other week, and I hope you get a chance to listen and be blessed by it. Um, today's devotional comes from Matthew chapter 5, and you might have heard this verse. It says simply, "But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be given to you as well." And then from Luke chapter 16, it says, "No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you'll devote to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money." The reason I wanted to kind of talk about these two verses is that yesterday at our overseers meeting, these are the elders of the church, and we were talking about what would Jesus what would Jesus say about our church, and more often than not, I would say everyone basically said everyone in our church is just way too busy. It is way too filled with activities, feelings of we need to accomplish many things, and that we don't have time for God. We don't have time to really rest. We don't have really time to just enjoy one another, but we continually busy ourselves. And this is amazing to me because this is obviously true in college. Many of you guys who I meet do way too many things. For young adults as well. Families, they take their kids from one soccer game to another soccer game. They're part of a lot of activities, and the family's life is their kids, and all they're doing is trying to get them to places and do all these many many things. And as we're talking, I realized that this is not biblical. This is not what a Christian should be. We are people who slow down. We are people who take the Sabbath. We are people who tithe. We're people who are faithful to God before being faithful to our job even. And they're not mutually exclusive. But the reason why I will share these Bible verses is that more and more I think one of the things I hear is that we just need to be in balance, right? We just need to be in balance. Balance with our schoolwork, with our church, with our personal life. And I really want to challenge everyone here listening right now that I'm not really sure that's biblical. Balance with your spiritual life in terms of how you experience God and serve others, I think that's totally true. But in terms of balancing your work and God, that is not biblical. I would even say that's sinful. Because we read here that Jesus says, "First seek his kingdom and his righteousness, and that you cannot serve two masters." And I realize more and more that many of us who say, I want to balance my life, are basically trying to serve two or three or four masters. Am I right? We try to do all that we can for our academics. We study our butts off, but we can't make it to church. Or we work so hard on this conference, but we don't rest. We don't take a Sabbath. And I'm not, again, talking about just taking time off. Because I've been trying to do that, just taking time off, and I watch TV, but I'm not feeling restful at all. I feel actually really stressed in general. And I realize I need to get away. I need to take some time with God. That's what I'm going to do the rest of the day on this Thursday. But more and more, I really want to challenge everyone there that, are you trying to worship the idea of balance or worship God first and foremost? And some might say, well, Ryan, that doesn't mean we should just be lazy and not do any studying. Of course I'm not saying that. But I guarantee that most of you, if not all of you, are worshiping someone else besides God, or trying to worship two gods. Because again, worship basically means what you put your worth into. And so how do you figure out if you're being really faithful to God versus faithful to your studies or to your extracurriculars? Well, I think the basic question is, are you following God? Are you really following God? And these are two questions I would ask you. For example, are you taking the Sabbath? Again, I've talked about this in video devotion in the past, but that is a command from God. If you're not doing it, you're sinning. That's it. All right? You're sinning. And all the things that are happening in your life, stress, brokenness, I can 90% of the time attribute to overworking because you're not obeying the Sabbath. So that's number one. All right? Are you obeying the Sabbath? Number two is, for example, are you committing yourselves to going to church, for example? That's a basic thing about going to church and being part of a small group and growing in that way and giving and serving. A lot of you guys are. A lot of you guys aren't. Again, some of you guys are part of fellowship. I think that's awesome. Some of you aren't, and we really want to help you get connected in that way. I think another good question to ask is, you know, how am I dealing with sexuality? Am I struggling with pornography? Am I not? Am I struggling with materialism? I mean, I think those are questions that you really have to ask yourselves. And if you're not sure, you should really talk to people. Talk to me about it. If you are struggling with pornography, struggling with other things like that, that's why the pastors and the spiritual guides are here to serve you in that way. And so these are some basic questions to ask. Because some people are like, oh, it's so hard to figure out, am I being faithful to God or faithful to my work and my studying? God gave me a brain, all that good stuff. But again, I go to number one in this context of, are you practicing the Sabbath? Because again, we're doing that to realize that we trust in God first and foremost. That's why we also tithe. Some of you guys are making money. You should be tithing. That is a command from God. I don't care if it's only $50 you make a week. You should be tithing, because tithing is for your benefit, to say that you trust God more than money. All right? Those two things, those 3, 4 things that I've mentioned, are basic questions you should ask yourselves. And I'm here, and as well as the college mentors are here, to help you figure those questions out. Because if you serve both God and academics, God and your parents, you're not serving God at all. And that's sinning. And I think God wants to bless you like crazy. God wants to fill you with life. And the way to do that is put God first and foremost in your life. And I know I need to do that more. I need to be challenged by that. And I'm challenging you to put God first and foremost in your life. So that's the devotion today. I think one of the best ways to start getting into a rhythm of resting and being with God and with others is coming to this college getaway. It's, again, November 6th and 7th, and a lot of you have signed up. But it's going to be cool. It's just 2 days, one overnight. We're trying to keep it cheap as possible, but it's going to be a time of really Sabbath resting. We are going to have some fun. We're going to have some games and cook together. But we are also going to learn how to slow down and be still. And I need that. And I know you need that. So I hope you guys can make it. It'll be an awesome time. And so, again, RSVP to ryan@highrock.org. And again, I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're relying on one another, confessing your sin to one another. And I hope to talk to you very soon. Thanks.